Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Thoughts on Star Wars and Comics. As mentioned in the last video, episode 3, this being episode 4, I am now starting the next run of Star Wars comics, which is issue 8 to issue 12 in the main Star Wars line. This series is book 2, Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon. Now, where to start? Well, we're back to our trace art, which is, it's okay. At least the covers are really cool, right? I love the cover art in pretty much all of these books, regardless of what the inside looks like. Now, I will say that the trace art looks really good on the ships and stuff like that. I mean, at least they look like what they're supposed to look like. We get into the really dumb plot about Han Solo's wife, which, oh, surprise, she's not really Han Solo's wife. They just did it for a job once, and, yeah, she's just pissed off at him. So, Force Awakens was just about to release when this came out. This was the October issue. And we're starting to see a little bit of that political stuff creep into the comics. And just before I get into that, you know, I don't want to give away too much about this. Anyway, through Luke's journal, or through Obi-Wan's journal, Luke finds out that he might find something really interesting on the planet of Nar Shaddaa, which is a really big planet in the old EU, and is now creeping its way back in here. So he goes off looking for, I think it's a Jedi holocron, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, he gets in some trouble, bar fight. This art's pretty cool. I mean, it's still devolves into that Tracy sort of art every now and then, but it's a little better than the last stuff. You get some really weird stuff later on, but this one's not too bad. This has a little bit of stylization to it, but it still looks like the characters. And it doesn't have that creepy effect of that trace art. Anyway, we go back to that stupid plot with Santa, the supposed wife of Han Solo, who's not really his wife. And we get stupid scenes like this, like Princess Leia kicking Han in the ass. Now, at the time, I just thought it was kind of funny. Princess Leia was always kind of riding Han, but he always gave it back to her in turn. This one, he just seems to take it. It's really strange. Anyway, let's go on. That's all I really have to say about that issue. And look, Santa's on the cover of the next issue, issue 9. Wow. So, Luke's doing his thing. He's trying to get away. And this weird alien dude stole his lightsaber, so he's trying to get it back. So there's a high-speed chase through the city, kind of reminiscent of episode 2, which is kind of cool. And he gets his lightsaber back after, you know, a little bit of a chase. Then he meets a character which I actually kind of like. He's a new Hutt character, Gracchus the Hutt, and he is swole. He is a fit Hutt, which is kind of funny. And not only is it fit Hutt, he's got lightsaber trophies as a necklace, which I thought was kind of cool, because he collects Jedi artifacts. That's the whole thing. That's what brought Luke here. Meanwhile, the others are trying to get off that moon that they're stuck on. And Luke is fighting sort of droids that look like Grievous and Gracchus at the same time, and they're kind of kicking his ass because he's still not very well trained. So he ends up getting his butt kicked, and then Gracchus puts the smackdown on him. Yeah. And he gets captured. And he takes him back to this archive where he has all of these Jedi artifacts and things like that, including the holocron that he's looking for. And there's not really much to say. Luke activates the holocron with the Force because Gracchus can't figure out how to, activate it, which is how it was done in the EU, which is nice to see again. And of course he gets visions of all these different Jedi Masters reporting in on different messages and things like that, which is kind of cool. So we got that. Meanwhile, the others are still trying to get off that moon, and they're in Santa's ship, which is sort of like a little tiny Millennium Falcon fighter sort of thing. Kind of neat, since she's from Corellia. I guess it kind of makes sense. And then we go into episode 3, issue number 10. And we got this Rancor looking thing on the cover, which is kind of cool. So yeah, they're trying to escape. That's the whole plot there. Not much happens. There's some banter. They make fun of Han. Meanwhile, Chewie and 3PO are flying the Falcon, trying to get to Luke. Luke gets put into the gladiatorial games for Gracchus, which is kind of cool. And he faces off against this mysterious, burnt-looking guy who has lightsabers, who becomes a pretty neat character later on. Anyway, Luke has to fight him in a lightsaber duel. Now, he's not a Jedi, which is kind of interesting, but he is trained to fight with a lightsaber. And he becomes a pretty interesting character later on, who's actually one that I really like. Anyway, they fight. Nothing really happens. They're still trying to get away from the Empire and her ship. And meanwhile, 3PO and Chewie are on some little adventure, and they're trying to find Luke. Not much going on there. And then we get Dengar entering into it, including this weird Gungan bounty hunter, which is weird. So Dengar's in this, which is kind of neat. I like this cover a lot. Sort of this vertical thing with Chewie and Dengar. Anyway, they fight for a bit. They blast Chewie and he blasts 3PO. Chewie freaks out. Gracchus has still got Luke. They put him into the gladiatorial arena. He has to fight this weird cyborg Rancor thing, which is kind of cool. Han, Santa, and Leia are still trying to get away. There's a really cool fight between Chewie and Dengar in the streets. I like that part a lot. That's the kind of cool Star Wars stuff you like to see. Luke's fighting off against this monster. I don't know if I like this because this monster's obviously more powerful than the Rancor because he's got cybernetic, he's bigger. But, it was kind of cool to see that in Jedi, and the fact that he's done it before... I don't know. It's still kind of cool. It's still Star Wars, though. That's the thing. It's an adventure story with a big monster chasing them. And I guess he's not quite as big as the Rancor. He's just a little faster. He's more Panther-like, or whatever. Anyway, Chewie gets Dengar down. And just before Dengar's about to smash Chewie with a vibroblade, Han and them show up and save him. Woohoo. And yes, it looks like they shoot Dengar in the back, but he doesn't die. Of course, because he's in Empire. Now, let's get into the last part. Chewie and them have a little fight with Dengar. Throw him off with a thermal detonator. It looks like he explodes, but of course he doesn't die. Luke's getting his ass kicked. Kind of cool. And then this Jedi guy, or non-Jedi guy with a lightsaber, decides he's going to turn on Gracchus, which is kind of cool. And Gracchus, the Empire shows up because, surprise, surprise, this guy works for the Empire. Gracchus annihilates the friggin' guys, which is cool. It's really neat to see a muscular hut. You know, it's different, it's similar, but we can accept it. And it doesn't, tramp on the canon or anything like that, like a lot of the other Star Wars stuff does. Anyway, R2 had gotten into that Jedi Vault, and he had taken a bunch of lightsabers, and everybody gets a lightsaber in this issue. That's kind of stupid. So there we got Chewie, Han, and Leia with lightsaber fighting Imperials. Yay. That's not what I wanted to see. But whatever. So this dude with the lightsaber, this Imperial, he takes down Gracchus, which is kind of cool, using his non-force abilities but extreme skill as a fighter. The stormtroopers show up. They're running away. Leia whacks some things with a lightsaber. too bad we didn't get to see that in the new movies, huh? No. Can't do that. Anyway, they get away. Vader shows up, and he knows it's Luke. He takes that one of the holocrons and he crushes it because he's pissed off, and that's pretty much where that issue ends up. Now, there's a little preview at the back of the book. Vader down. This is where Marvel starts being Marvel. And the next few issues are a crossover event with the Darth Vader series. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go back and sort of review up to this point with Darth Vader so you know what's going on there, or just keep going with Star Wars. I'll make the decision later. But they do a couple of these crossover events through the run. And they're kind of annoying, just like Marvel crossover events. They don't really go anywhere. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.